What is the harm of expectation? So what is the harm of the expectation? The expectation is you're going to do as I say, and then you don't do as I say. Or the expectation that you're going to follow Western medicine, but what does it mean when you bring in a naturopath who diagnosed you and how they freak out, like suddenly they're doing something and then their arms are waving, right? We've all had these different stories and experiences. Why are they afraid to say or do the wrong thing? And is it their racism that they're worried about exposing? Because they're a good person. So if I am worried about saying or doing the wrong thing, my racism might show.
How normalized the system is, and how that because it's so normalized that there's a progress and a pattern to that progress, that people just think, well, I'm just doing the right thing. They're non-compliant, so they must be in the wrong, and therefore when I just do the right thing as expected of me, I don't have to bring myself into the room with them. I can just be the nurse in the room. But when it comes to Indigenous folks, when they're dealing with us, their innate racism comes out because they were raised Canadian. Canadian is the way to be. It's the right thing to do. It is who we are, but it's not who we all are. And that creates fear because their false identity is, being attacked.
Right.
It's being attacked.
Of being the good Canadian.
Of being the good Canadian.
Who will laugh about Indigenous jokes outside of work or
Yes.
whatever it may be, or even who have said some different things. But as they're getting acquainted with this curriculum and this way of thinking, because it's a part of the job now, they have to access that part of themselves. And it's not to say that people aren't good human beings and still have that. And it's recognizing that stereotypes, all of us have them. As human beings.
It is more about this prejudice against who the land ownership should be. Property law always comes back to harm us as people. And because they have their fences, they feel like they're doing right all the time, regardless as to what their real thought processes are.
And I think they don't even realize it consciously. And so this whole, what is the fear of saying or doing the wrong thing with Indigenous peoples is tap into those uncomfortable pieces, because that part of the conversation needs to happen, because we are all self-reflecting regularly on what are our triggers. Where is that intergenerational trauma? Understanding our parents and our grandparents so that we can, work with the next generations, whether we're a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a community member, even if you don't want to label yourself. So if we're doing all this work and there's not a conversation happening over there about the things that the deeper seated, whys, then it's an imbalance already. On top of the power imbalance of coming in at your most vulnerable and never seeing us at our most amazing, beautiful selves outside of those healthcare systems.
For sure. And it's a team work, right? It's about teamwork. And we are all in this together, whether we're Indigenous or not. Whether we're settlers, people of color settlers, or white settlers, or, capitalism has done a real nasty thing to humans. And it's being expressed through the healthcare system, where it shouldn't be, where it shouldn't be at all. But because it's an economy, there's an economy, that there's money involved, and then hierarchy and authenticity. And authenticity is one of those words that people think is a good word, like, oh, I'm being my authentic self. But it's actually a colonial construct about what the colonizer thinks is authentic, not what we think, because authenticity is their word and their understanding of the word. And so when we're being genuine with ourselves and our positionality and who the folks are in the room, then we have a better capacity for empathy and compassion, because I know where I stand and I know I'm not perfect, and I can walk into a room understanding that other folks are not perfect. But if their boss is watching them, then they have to be perfect. And if their boss is racist, or if their boss, has any kind of inclination of hierarchy, then it ruins it for the rest of us, all of us coming in, because that one boss has capacity to change ideas and change the way that people work.